Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We would like to begin our program tonight. We're here for Meet the Candidate Nights. My name is Christine Centrone, and I am from Suffolk Region PTA. And with me is our timekeeper, Lori Hernandez Molimo. Lori will be keeping the time. I will be asking the questions. Before we begin, we'd like to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm just going to first introduce our candidates, and then I'm going to go over some guidelines. Tonight with us, we have Robert McLaughlin, Jack Sauter, and Adam Schneider, and also Sandy Conay. The rules for tonight are as follows. No letters or statements by absentee candidates will be read. Only candidates present may speak. We ask that the audience hold its applause until the end in order for the moderator to ask as many questions as possible. There will be a moderator and a timekeeper from Suffolk Region PTA. Each candidate will be allowed 3 minutes to make a presentation statement stating qualifications and reasons for running. When the 3 minutes are up, the timekeeper will ring a bell to signify that the sentence must be completed. All questions will be written on index cards, reviewed and selected by the moderator. Questions will be asked of all candidates. Any questions addressed to only one individual or those which contain personal attacks will be discarded. The moderator will make the final decision regarding all questions. You may not necessarily hear your question in the way it was written. And if we have duplicate questions, we're not going to ask the same question twice. Each candidate is given the opportunity to answer each question in 1 minute. When the minute is up, the timekeeper will ring the bell indicating the candidate must finish the sentence. No rebuttals are allowed during the question and answer period. Each candidate will be allowed 3 minutes to make an opening statement. I said that already. Each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes for the closing statements after the last question has been answered. At that time, rebuttals can be made. The length of the program will be determined by the moderator prior to the beginning of the evening, depending on the number of questions we are presented with. Presentations will be in alphabetical order, and closing statements will be in reverse alphabetical order. No literature may be given out at this meeting by the candidate or the candidate's supporters. The moderator reserves the right to end the program at any time if deemed necessary. We will start with opening statements. Or did you want to go first? Okay. So we're going to start with Sandy first. She's going to just introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sandy Conay. I'm running for my second term, hopefully, on the Board of Education. I was fortunate enough to be elected 3 years ago to serve our community, and hopefully you'll have me back against Mickey Mouse. I also just wanted to take a moment to thank our BBP PTA Council for organizing this event and for Suffolk Region for coming out to moderate. And I wanted to wish Adam, Jack, and Robert best of luck in their campaigns. I really, on behalf of our community, I appreciate you stepping up and being willing to serve. I'm especially excited to listen to your answers tonight because I know we have 2 newly minted 18-year-olds in the audience, and this will be their first election. So good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Okay, we'll start with opening statements from Robert.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to meet the candidates. So my name is Robert McLaughlin. I am a resident since 2011. I have 2 children here at Sylvan Avenue, and my goal is to join the board. A little bit of background about me is that I am an electrician. So a tradesman is how I came up. I graduated from William Floyd, and I went into the construction trades. And I was able to really learn a lot of life skills, a lot of mechanical skills, develop an ability that I didn't have prior. With that ability in the construction industry, I then forged my way forward, and I got into education. I actually started working with Eastern Suffolk BOCES as a vocational trade instructor. With that, I really gained a passion for teaching and working with students to give them vocational training. how did I get to that point is prior to getting into instruction, I was a local 25 electrician. So I went through an organized apprenticeship training, and I was able to have a mentorship with companies and with foremen to be able to show you how to develop and build skills and then continue to grow your abilities. I took that and I really enjoyed it. And I believe my motivation is what drove me forward, looking for more and more ways of getting involved. So I got involved, as I mentioned, in Eastern Suffolk BOCES as an instructor. I then from there got involved with a school by the name of Electrical Training Center at the time. And I went in, became a teacher where I was able to get started. Part-time teacher, working in the field, using my skills. And I really, once again, took very well to it. I enjoyed it. I saw my impact in the classroom. And then I made a full-time commitment into education. So I have been with Electrical and HVAC Training Center for 17 years, starting off as a teacher, then moving my way up as a full-time teacher, part-time to full-time, and then moving into a director role. A leadership role is important because what I've learned and carried over from the trades is that leadership really is everything, is that you have to be able to lead by example. So I have that role as a director. In my years of moving forward, I've become the CEO, and I am now operating and running that school. Why is that important, and why do I believe that it's of value? Is that I operate about 1,400 students a year annually, so I know what it is to work with communities, I know what it is to work with students, and I believe I truly understand how the trades could benefit not only the community, but our students. So I look forward to the opportunity to serving as a board member to increase the value in our community.
Thank you, Robert. Please hold your applause to the end. Thank you. Jack?
Hi, good evening, everybody. It's really nice to see everyone here. I just have to say, I'm so excited to be in front of you guys. There's so many people that I know in the audience, from my neighbor to parents of kids that I've coached. It's really fun to actually be and see everybody here. So I'm Jack Sauter. I'm running for school board for BBP, and I'm doing this because I believe in public service, and I have dedicated my life to public service. I'm a Marine Corps combat veteran. I now work for the federal government, where I'm the regional counsel for the U.S. Department of Transportation. My entire career has been built on public service. Before I actually became an active duty Marine officer, when I was in law school, I actually was a adjunct college professor at Green Mountain College. So I have some teaching experience there. I joined the military after growing up in rural Nebraska. My mom was a 25-year math teacher. My father was a retired master sergeant in the U.S. Army. And I kind of followed both of their steps, my mom through higher education, and then obviously my dad into the military. So I believe in public service, and that's why I did 10 years on active duty in the Marine Corps, which ultimately culminated in me being the Chief Environmental Counsel for the Marine Corps, where I worked at the Pentagon, and I was actually responsible for all of the environmental issues on Marine Corps bases across the world. After doing that job at the Pentagon, I actually then took this job as the regional counsel for the U.S. Department of Transportation here in New York City, where I manage a portfolio of about $43 billion. I advise on that portfolio. If you've heard of like the Hudson River Tunnel or the new Port Authority Bus Terminal or East Side Access or any of the major infrastructure public projects in this region, I'm probably behind the scenes working on it as the federal advisor on those projects. I know about capital budgeting, I know about capital planning, and those are the sorts of skills I want to bring to the school board. In terms of community service, I don't believe that just, that serving on the school board is the only way you can serve in a community. I go to PTA events and I take out the garbage, I carve pumpkins, I coach BBP youth lacrosse, or have in the past. I coach Bayman soccer. I assist the Bayport Blue Point Historical Society with a lot of their legal needs. And again, I'd like to do that on the school board. And I want to say this, in terms of my priorities, as a member of the school board, are going to be a great listener to community members, to students, to administrators, and to parents. I think listening is the most important thing you can do as a school board member so that you can be an active policymaker. It takes a lot of courage for parents to come up and speak during school board members. I know, I've done it, and it's really hard. And if I'm your school board member, what I would promise you is that if you get up to speak, or if you have something to say, I'm going to listen, and I'm going to hear it, and I'm going to take it very seriously, and I'm going to be very thoughtful about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack. Okay, Adam?
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Adam Schneider. Just want to take a minute to thank everybody for coming, to the familiar faces I see here, to my kids and my wife. Thanks to BBP Schools and the PTA. Just want to start off by saying I'm a lifelong learner devoted to education. I grew up my early years in Miller Place, and I then graduated from Massapequa, but Bayport I now consider my forever home. I live here with my wife, Catherine. She's a clinical social worker, and my two children, Laura. She's an 11-year-old at Blue Point Elementary, and Bennett, 9th grade at the high school here. Started my career as a third grade teacher in 1999. I've taught in many parts of New York City. In 2016, I launched the STEAM program at my current school in Flushing, which I still teach today. My career includes roles as a project manager for an ed tech company working with schools and districts to build out their websites, implement a learning management system, managing the technology program at a charter school network in Harlem. I've consulted for New York City and Jersey public schools in implementing educational technology, where I specialize in implementing Google for Education, as was a Google certified trainer. I'm a member of NICET and UFT teacher unions, and I've served as a union delegate for the UFT. So EdTech and leadership, EdTech leadership has really been my focus throughout these years. I'm running as a trustee for the Board of Education because I'm passionate about ensuring quality education for all students and supporting educators in their vital role. The Bayport Blue Point School District has a unique and magical aura where students feel safe, at home, and genuinely cared for by the community. This nurturing environment was something I cherished growing up in Miller Place in my formative years, and I'm grateful that my children can experience this same sense of belonging and security at school. As a trustee, I will be committed to maintaining and enhancing this supportive environment, ensuring that our district continues to prioritize the best interests of every student, including those who are marginalized. By fostering an inclusive and caring environment, we can help all students thrive academically and personally. I believe a strong, supportive school district is the foundation for a brighter future for our youth, and I'm dedicated to working towards this goal. Together, we can build a district where every student feels valued and empowered to reach their full potential. I'm excited to bring my experience and passion to the Board of Education and work collaboratively to make Bayport Blue Point Schools an even better place for our children to learn and grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Okay, our first question will go to Robert. What is your superpower and how will it impact this Board of Education?
My superpower is getting involved. I don't know how fast 3 minutes goes. I believe in getting involved in the community. So a little bit of my background going into it, which I didn't mention, is that when I get involved in something similar to my career, I make sure that I really take a part, an active role. So I am, as I mentioned, an electrician, but I get involved in the community. So if I'm serving on the electrical industry, I get involved on boards. So I hold many board positions, getting involved with companies, speaking directly with owners and community stakeholders, as well as elected officials, being able to make sure I'm able to understand it. So I think my superpower is really getting involved, being a good listener, and then taking action. I don't like to do things just to do them. I like to do things to get results. So I am solution driven. So if you call that a superpower, that's what I'll go with.
Thank you. Jack?
If I had to name a superpower, I would say it's empathy. I care a lot, and I believe, as I've already said, active listening is very important, and being able to put yourself in the shoes of others so that you can understand what they're thinking, why they're thinking it, and what you can do to be responsive to them is one of the most important things I think that a school board member can do. Because ultimately we need to connect with the community around us. We need to be responsive to our community members. And ultimately we need to not forget about them. And so what I would tell you is, as a school board member, I would use my superpower to make sure that I'm thinking about teachers, I'm thinking about students, trying to connect with them, and make sure that when I'm thinking about the policies that the board is considering and advising the board or advising the administrators, I'm also thinking about and putting myself in the shoes of teachers and students.
Thank you. Adam?
Oh, well, if I were to say what is my superpower, I would probably say passion. I've been teaching for over 25 years. It's my passion. I love it. I love giving back. I love working with the students, seeing them grow. And basically, I want to transition that superpower into this role where I can make an even bigger impact on our students' learning, our community's role in working with our students, and just getting hyper-focused and passionate about that. So thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Question number 2, we'll start with Jack. What do you believe should be the role of technology in education?
I think technology does, and will play a vital role in technology and education. I think it's going to be useful in terms of how we test students accurately so that we can get a better understanding of what we need to do in our curriculum. So technology is going to help us gather data. Technology is going to help to inform our students in a better way. It's going to be more interactive. Just recently, in the last couple of years, we've, every kid in Bayport Blue Point now has computers that they can take home. So teachers are able to communicate, are able to have lessons plans. Technology is not only enabling, but it's also something that is going to create, better communication. I do have to say, though, that technology has its limits. It can also be distracting. It also can be corrupting in some ways. And so while technology provides a lot of opportunities, we also have to take into account educational, psychological impacts that too much screen time can have.
Thank you. Adam?
Okay, well, as I mentioned, I'm a STEAM teacher at my school, and STEAM is the exploration of science and technology through engineering and the arts, all rooted in mathematics. So technology is an important part of my job. I'm also the technology coordinator for my school, and so I've seen, especially through COVID since then, with the one-to-one initiative in the entire Department of Education in New York City, how important technology can be. Tech should enhance learning, but it should not replace the key skills. It's a tool that can support engagement, critical thinking, and creativity, but schools and parents must set clear guidelines to prevent excessive screen time. I see it happening every day in New York City, where they're not being watched at home, and there's only so much control I can have from my end. So technology should enhance learning, but not replace it.
Thank you. Robert?
I believe technology has its role, and students should be prepared for the opportunities it presents. Because, look, education that we're preparing students for is preparing for what? The real world when they graduate. So they do have to be aware of what's available. They have to know how to use it. And once again, keeping it in balance is critical. I do think that the technology itself, things are changing every day. So when I can go from my perspective of technology on how it's communicating with HVAC systems and how we're being able to have business and operations within companies. So in business management roles, in supervision of roles, technology is helping and assisting in those areas. But I do believe in the K-12 in which we are focused on, I think there has to be a major focus on the, human face-to-face interaction with adaptations of adding technology to it. Definitely not a replacement. But once again, AI and different technologies, students have to be prepared.
Thank you. Question number 3. We're going to start with Adam. What made you want to run for the school board, or was there a specific moment or incident?
Well, oh, I keep forgetting to turn this off. I apologize to you too. Um, what made me want to run? Well, I've always wanted to run, and my wife has always, encouraged me to run. But it wasn't until I saw that the seat was not, at least when I decided to run, it did not yet have any candidates. So I want to make a difference. I want to help give back to this district. I'm love seeing my children learning in this district, and any way I can help to continue to foster this wonderful environment that we have here. I want to do that, and right now that's as a trustee. So I hope I can do that, and I hope I can get your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert?
Getting involved for me is a natural progression of how I go about my career path. So I focused on family first, right? It was my priority, making sure I can have everything house and home in order, making sure kids are in a great place with where they are. And by moving here, that definitely helped. So school's going great. In my career, things are very much in a great place, feeling very comfortable, confident, being able to not only take our school and grow it to the point it is now, opening, expanding. So I know I have abilities to lend to the community to be able to be of value. So I like to get involved because I get involved not only personally with volunteering with Habitat for Humanity, being a board member, being on associations for different industries I represent. This is my next progression. I want to get involved. I want to be part of the community, but be someone of value. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Jack?
This is the culmination of a series of a lot of time spent at school board building meetings, a lot of time I've spent at the Budget Advisory Committee. For the last 3 years, I've been a member of the BBP School Budget Advisory Committee, where we advise the school board on budgetary issues, make a recommendation regarding issues in the budget every year. It's a culmination also of just being part of and active in the Blue Point community. And so doing all these things and being involved in the community, spending time at school board meetings, speaking up at school board meetings, getting to know the school board members, Mike, Brian, Sandy, and then being able to, envision being able to make a difference. I'm an attorney. There's no attorneys on the school board. And so I think it brings some unique skills and be an asset to the school board to see things in a different way than other school board members. And ultimately serve my community just in the way that I have been.
Thank you. Question number 4, we're going to start with Robert. What do you believe are the greatest challenges our school district is currently facing?
Well, I'm proud to say that I believe our school district is in a great place. So there's definitely nothing that is major red flags. I think just the priorities and what I hear from friends and neighbors is always safety, right? Is making sure that we have a safe environment. I think that's got to always remain a priority. Making sure we retain talent, right? So we do have a great tenure with teachers, administration, making sure we can hold on to them and keep them, because I believe leadership is strong and we have long tenureship. I think it goes to grow a very strong community. Aside from that, I think, I'm on the end where I see students when they graduate, right, when they're leaving. So I work all throughout Long Island, and I get to see the students when they graduate. And I think the thing that I'm most concerned about is making sure that students can take the education they have and be real world ready for their careers. So that's something I think that I'm focused on, making sure that the academics they have are truly preparing them for the real world environment.
Thank you. Jack?
BBP is the jewel of the South Shore, and what a wonderful place. We're so lucky to live where we live and to have the education that we do. Bayport Blue Point is this amazing mix of the fine arts, of great academic programs, of great teachers, of athletic teams that are second to none in so many sports you almost can't even count. It's amazing. And I think with all of our success, we must not forget some students who, maybe need, have a different perspective or maybe need help. So I think some of the challenges we need to make sure is we need to make sure that we are looking after our special education program, making sure that they're getting all the social and that all students are getting the social and emotional needs met. Because amongst all of our successes, we can't forget about people, that may not share in all of those successes. And so some of the challenge that I would want to make sure is that, again, I know that we've added in the last couple of years psychologists. I would just want to make sure that we're meeting those social and emotional needs of everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Adam?
All right. Yeah, I agree. Bayport Blue Point schools and this community is just it's a jewel. I do think all schools are facing safety as a major challenge, in today's world, unfortunately. And so I know we have a committee here, that is dedicated to that. So I do think safety is very important, but additionally, mental health, major challenge, all throughout the country. My wife is a clinical social worker. She works with people that are struggling, and as a teacher in New York City, I see it every day as well. So social emotional learning is so important to give those students the life skills needed to cope with this, today's world. Especially since COVID, things have changed. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 5, we're going to start with Jack. The district has seen a steady drop in enrollment, but at the same time, there has been a steady increase in the budget. What specifically would you do to reduce the budget and lower the tax burden on our residents?
This is a very important question, but this isn't just about Bayport Blue Point. The issue that you're describing, this phenomenon, is affecting all of Suffolk County. And this needs to be tackled not just by Bayport Blue Point, but it needs to be tackled by school districts of our size and manner across Suffolk County. There's a political aspect to it because it involves formula funding from the state. And so we need to make sure that we're engaging with our political representatives, county legislative, and state assembly. And then we also need to make sure that on the district level, we're looking at and using our processes on the school board to understand what are our options to, consider to save money on the school district level. So there's a lot of different options out there, and we would need to find the most effective financially option to use.
Thank you. Adam?
Well, first of all, dealing with this decrease in enrollment, increase in budget is the very thing the Board of Ed's role is. So working together with the members of the board and the community and the administration and the other role of the members is crucial in working to save money. There's a lot of unknowns right now. Foundation aid, we don't know what the actual budget for New York State is. Inflation is something that's coming. That's a big factor. So there's so much to that, and I would work with the team to do everything we can to save you money and still give the best education to our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert?
Coming up with something to cut, I wouldn't be able to tell you right now because I don't believe our district looks at cuts as something that we'd want to do. So one of the things that I would look at is when we grow a program, we choose to put something in, we're putting it in for a reason. We're putting it in because it's what the community needs or what the community wants. So I also have another way of looking at it, is that I also think we have to look at, revenue generations. People don't realize that schools can generate revenue in multiple ways. So there are different outlets to look at, whether it's corporate sponsorships, being able to work with different methods of raising funds. So I'd look at that as a possibility. But as far as cutting something, I couldn't tell you because I don't think there's many things that, once again, you wouldn't cut any of the foundational programs that the students need.
Thank you. Question number 6. This goes to Adam first. If the New York State Department of Education proposes something like banning cell phones in schools, and a large number of the BBP community members oppose it, will you advocate on behalf of the community against the New York State Department of Education, and how?
All right, well, I mean, that's something that we are supposedly seeing in this new budget and law that would have to ultimately come into place. So if cell phones are banned statewide, that's the law. There's not much I can do about that. I would listen to the community and certainly advocate on behalf of our community to the powers that be, but the law is the law, and there's not much I can do about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert?
I think cell phones have a place, but the place is not in the middle of the classroom instruction. So I do support some type of a structured policy that limits students' phones during the school day. So if I was asked to get involved with, coming up with a policy that matched what the parents' needs were, that's something of listening, hearing what the concerns were, and making sure we came up with something that facilitated the need, right? If it's access to the students, if it's access in case of an emergency, we all can relate to that and understand it. But I do think there has to be, if it's a law, once again, we have to comply with it. But if we have the ability of creating it where it's customized for Bayport Blue Point, then once again, we listen to the community and find a way to make it where it works for all. Because I do believe it is a positive step when it comes to creating more focus in the classroom and eliminating some of the distractions. So, thank you.
Thank you. Jack?
With cell phones, I think, the other two candidates have also hit on this. There's this yin and yang, or this back and forth between, safety and security. If there's like an emergency at the school, parents want to know where their kids are. Are they safe? They want to be able to identify them. On the other hand, the cell phones can be a huge distraction. And there's a balance there between, how much we're going to allow them in schools. If I felt, or if I heard from a lot of constituents that they wanted to make a change from whatever the state policy was, whether that was set by the state school board or that was set by the state legislature, there are many different ways that you can advocate. You can advocate through the political process. You can advocate through the state Board of Education process. It's not just a one-way street where it comes down. We can be involved. You can take action, and you can influence policy by working it back up the other way. And if I knew that constituents felt a certain distinct way, I would work with them to develop a game plan.
Thank you. Question number 7 starts with Robert. What is your stance on security in schools? Should we have armed security?
When it comes to security, I would say I'm a planner. Doesn't matter what I do, I want to make sure I start from the ground floor, foundation, work my way up. So I believe when you think about security, you have to think about proactive measures and not reactive measures. So I'm looking more towards proactive measures, which means really the grounds and making sure we have the cameras, which, if we look at the new budget, we put in some more provisions for that. Making sure vestibules are locked in, making sure personnel are trained. That's where I would start. I think ultimately security is our number one, but I would definitely go with a proactive measure.
Thank you. Jack?
Yeah, there isn't anything I wouldn't do to protect my daughter, my son, and my other daughter at Blue Point Elementary or at James Wilson Young Middle School. Anything. If that meant having armed security guards, and I felt like that was the most important thing or the safest thing that could happen that I could do, then I'm a parent and I would do it. But I'm also a Marine officer. I am a gun owner. I understand that guns are tools. And there are times and places where those tools should be used, and there's times and places where maybe they're not the answer. Let me just say that I was at a school board meeting back in October of this year where there was a mom who got up and expressed an interest in having armed guards at Bayport Blue Point schools. And so the school board, I wanted to say, I think they did the exact right thing. They sent the issue to the safety committee, which includes the 5th precinct, which includes the Blue Point Fire Department chief and stakeholders in the community. And ultimately, they discussed it. They considered having an armed guard, and they ultimately settled on cameras, on having new door locks put in, and having an ID kiosk set up at the high school so that they could track people coming in and out. Those are the right tools that they decided on when they included all the stakeholders.
Thank you. Adam?
All right, well, as I've said, I am a New York City teacher. I can't tell you how many the craziness I've seen. In this 26 years, I've had a gun kicked past me by a man being chased by police. If you were to ask me how I feel about armed guards, we have our school security. They are part of the NYPD. They are not armed. Would I want them armed? At times. But ultimately, school safety is, it's a huge priority to me, but a balanced approach is necessary. Armed guards are an option, but safety is more than security personnel, mental health prevention programs, community partnerships. So policy decisions should be based on expert input, including law enforcement officers, educators, and the community.
Thank you. Question number 8, we'll start with Jack. How will you let the community know who you are in the next 2 weeks? Social media, site, posts, newspapers, questions, meet and greets, etc.
So I'm very lucky because I live in Bayport Blue Point and I love this community and I'm extremely involved in this community. And, I have so many connections through Bayport Blue Point Youth Lacrosse, through the soccer team that I coach, through the Historical Society that I advise as a pro bono attorney, through, all the activities that I participate in. So I'm kind of just keep doing what I do as a member of Bayport Blue Point, see my friends, my neighbors, my loved ones. I am going to put out signs. My wife is going to kill me for that, but unfortunately, we've already spent the money, honey.
Thank you. Adam?
All right, well, how will I let people get to know me? Hopefully, I've gotten to know a lot of people here and in the community. I want to continue to get to know people. It's difficult. I try to limit my social media presence, but the people I do know, should anybody ask any questions and you happen to be hearing that, feel free to send them my way. Any upcoming events at the schools, I'll try to make myself available there. And if you see me, say hello. So thanks.
Thank you. Robert?
I think my method would be family and friends. Same thing, kids, sports teams, but really just kind of an organic approach to it. I think, I'm here, I'm in the community, so hopefully I meet enough people. If somebody has an invitation, wants to invite or talk, I'm always open to meeting new people. My goal is just kind of go through the motions and see where I can help. So if I'm around and you see me, say hello. Thanks.
Thank you. Question number 8, we'll start with Adam. What is your stance on how diversity, equity, and inclusion should be handled? Yeah.
Well, every student deserves equal opportunity to succeed. One of my children has an individualized education program, also known as an IEP. And she deserves a diverse education which promotes equity and inclusivity. So to me, DEI isn't about division. It ensures a welcoming environment for all students. So, schools should foster fairness, provide resources for students in need, and support success for every child, including marginalized children. So preparing students for a diverse world helps build stronger communities and future leaders. So to me, DEI is a good word.
Thank you. Robert?
I believe our focus in education should always center on preparing students to succeed in the real world, academically, socially, professionally. The world is diverse. It's multicultural. It's interconnected. Our responsibility as educators is not to push political agendas, but to equip students with the skills they need to collaborate, lead, contribute in the global society. We don't need a stance on being a good neighbor, a respectful classmate, or a fair-minded teacher. Those are simply expectations of good character. Teaching students to understand different perspectives, show empathy, and treat all people with dignity is not political. It is a fundamental to citizenship and a lifelong of success. Promoting inclusion, respect, and equity in the classroom does not mean dividing students. It means making sure every child feels seen, heard, supported, so they can thrive. We do this not by labeling or categorizing students, but by recognizing the value of each individual brings to the school and community.
Thank you. Jack?
Yeah, I think that diversity is very important. I think having, just generally speaking, having a populist or a diverse student body, makes our student body stronger. People can learn more. When it comes to DEI, it's such a political term. And the nice thing about Bayport Blue Point, and the nice thing about being on the school board, is that this is a non-political position. And what I would try to bring to this is not the politics that I think are connoted with that word. I would try to, and let me just say this: all students deserve respect. Period. All students deserve an equal opportunity. Period. We should promote a meritocracy. Period. Where it doesn't matter what man, woman, black, white. We need to support people in. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 9. We're going to start with Robert. Share any experiences that speak to your commitment to helping students receiving special education programming in our district.
As far as being involved with the special education, I think it's something where I don't have much experience in that area, so I was being quite honest, but I do know that if there was needs, it's something that I would make sure that we considered what we can do to benefit those students.
Thank you. Jack?
I'm one of the den leaders for my son's Cub Scout den, and unlike lacrosse or soccer, we have a lot of kids with special needs in our den because it's a place where they can interact. It's a place where they can excel in some ways, and I work a lot with these kids, and it brings me so much joy. I took the den fly fishing over at Connecticut last year, and I worked with these special needs kids, and the reason why I know them too is because they go to Blue Point, where my son goes to school, and we had a great time. And I think this is a vital part of the education at Blue Point Elementary School. I think all kids have, in some ways, an enriched experience because we have them at Blue Point Elementary School. And I am completely behind whatever, to do whatever we need to do, even if federal funding is affected next year, to make sure that we sustain the outstanding special education that we have at BBP.
Thank you. Adam?
All right, well, again, as I've said, I've been a teacher for 26 years, and special ed has been part of every year of teaching. I have a child with an IEP, and had she not been getting these changes to her education plan, she would not be the amazing person she is now. She'd still be amazing, but she's even more amazing. So, you know, right now I work with 3 inclusion classrooms and 2 self-contained. I work with students that are nonverbal, Down syndrome, and each and every one of those children are amazing people, and they need that they need those accommodations. We need to differentiate the learning for them. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. That was Adam. Robert? Did I ask you that question already? Okay, I'm sorry, I messed up. Okay, so question number 10 starts with Jack. What is your approach to mental health and wellness in the schools?
My approach as a parent currently, and what it would be as a school board member too, is first of all to keep doing what we're doing right now. In the last 5 years, we have added school counselors at the elementary schools. We have made the social emotional needs of our students a paramount priority. I know the administration has, because I sit in the Dr. Harney's budget advisory committee meetings, and we talk about how we've increased the budget over the last couple of years. As a parent, as I've already said, I see this as one of the most important challenges. Amidst all of our successes, it's making sure that we don't forget about the social and emotional needs. We've had some suicides in the last couple of years at Bayport Blue Point. We can't hide from that. It's something that is real. It's a national epidemic, and we have to face it straight on. A lot of it may have to do with some of the reliance or technology, but anyway, it's something we need to take seriously.
Thank you. Adam?
All right. Well, I think drawing on that, mindfulness and social emotional learning are key in this day and age, and I'm glad to see it being incorporated so thoroughly in classrooms in BBP and beyond. Support in the school is vital. Counselors, teachers, and beyond the schools as well, the community, having everybody involved. Communication is key, and mental health is very important, and I think it's a very it's at the top of the list in Bayport Blue Point. So I'll do anything I can to help with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert?
I think the mental health and well-being is definitely of a concern. From what I look at in regards to the development of the students that are graduating and that are coming up, I think we have to focus on resiliency as well, making students a little bit more independent and able to deal with their day-to-day. So I think a lot of the skills and programs that are being talked about, that are some that are already currently implemented in Bayport Blue Point, are important. But I think as they grow and they get to the older grades and they're getting ready to, from high school and getting ready to transition, we have to make sure they're ready to deal with the tough times that are ahead, right? I think we know that our everydays aren't easy. So students' resiliency, having confidence, those are all key characteristics that I think we have to focus on, which help. When it comes to bullying, I think, hey, look, maybe some of the policies of the technology may help that, right? I also think getting involved with, if you see something, even parents and communication between teachers and parents and students.
Thank you. Question number 11. We'll start with Adam. What is your approach to balancing parental input with professional expertise in education?
Well, sitting here at a Board of Education meeting and taking questions from the parents, it's crucial that we weigh, the input being given to us from the community and take that into account and talk with the board. It's not just me, it's going to be many people. So listening and having a balanced approach, having committees that can discuss these different issues being brought to the plate, and delegating it accordingly and coming up with the best action plan and approach to those issues. So, yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Robert?
The balance, but it's a tough question, right? I think it's, as parents, we want to get involved and be involved in many different decisions. And I think that that is our right, that is our duty as parents to be involved. Just from once again, I draw on my experiences. I think that we entrust the professionals to, that in-house our students, that we trust in on a day-to-day basis to train them and educate them. I believe there's, maybe some ability that could be given back where the trust, the instructors, the teachers, the administration, trust in what they're doing, right? And have the ability of saying, look, you know what, I believe in what they're doing, and allow the process to take place. I think if we undercut too many decisions, sometimes it undermines the lasting effect of what the curriculum was intended to do or what the administrators are trying to develop the students. So once again.
Thank you. Jack?
Sometimes less is more. Less is more. And when it comes to empowering teachers and inviting parents, less is more. We want to give teachers the room that they need in order to have the discretion, in order to make their classroom environment conducive to learning. And it's more inviting to parents when there's something to discuss about, where they can build something or talk about something that the teacher and the student might do in the classroom. So when it comes to, the balance between, teachers and policies, there are some school districts that require certain books be read, or they require certain things to be taught at certain times. What I'm saying is let teachers have the discretion to do what they think is appropriate, and also but it's incumbent upon them to include the parents in some of those thoughts about what they will be teaching. And the more we should be encouraging parents and inviting them into the classroom as much as possible.
Thank you. Question number 12, we'll start with Robert. The Supreme Court is taking a case which would divert public tax dollars to private charter and possibly homeschool. What are your feelings about public tax dollars funding private institutions?
I think if it takes away from the Bayport Blue Point schools and it's going to hurt us here, it obviously is not something I'm in favor for. I do think that I've worked with private charter schools outside working in education, so I understand how they operate and how they work. It's just another school, right? So there's a lot of opportunity, and some parents choose to go that route with their students, with their kids. Yeah, it's a tough question. I believe it's if it takes away from the community, I believe the community is surrounded and built around the school that we have here. So I would like to see the prosperity and the nucleus of the community, which is a school, continue to do very well without having funds divided amongst other schools.
Thank you. Jack?
I'm familiar with the case that you're talking about. I've been following it as an attorney. I'm very interested in how the Supreme Court will decide that. But I'll tell you this right now. I believe in public education, period. I believe in public education. I will support Bayport Blue Point, and I will protect what we have. As I've already said, this is the jewel of the South Shore. We have generations of quality education at this high school through public education. And I would not support a state policy or a state law in New York, personally, that would basically allow a voucher program to exist. If somebody doesn't want to go to the public school, that's fine. They can step out of the public school system. But I believe in public education. I believe it's community-based, and it's one of the wonderful things about this community.
Thank you. Adam?
Right. So I did briefly work in New York City and Harlem at a nonprofit charter school network. I was there for a few years. But, you know, I came back to the public schools, and I'm a public school advocate ultimately. Bayport Public Schools is a public school district, and I'm going to support the public schools. I do not think public money should be going to private schools, period. So again, Bayport Public Schools, public funding stays here. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 13. We'll start with Jack. If open meetings laws are being violated, what will you do as a board member to correct this issue? And if not corrected, what else can be done?
So basically, open meetings laws, just for those who don't know, have to do with decisions happening behind closed doors, and there not being transparency in the process. So let me just say that that's important to me. I believe, we're stewards of the public process, that transparency is vital to democratic processes. And if, school board members are getting together and making decisions not in public view, that's a violation of state law. It's wrong. I would make sure that, I would basically try to be transparent about it, and I would let people know that it's occurring. I would try to stop it from occurring. And I would try to encourage the board members, whoever were violating the open meetings law, to explain to them, hey, this is not good for the school district. It's actually hurting our community, and stop it. And if they wouldn't listen to me, I would then go and make it public that this is occurring.
Thank you. Adam?
All right. Open meeting laws, decisions happening behind closed doors. I do know that some meetings that take place with the board are confidential, but we then take it to the public forum, and that's where the decisions should be ultimately happening in those types of forums. So transparency is crucial. So what's happening in these confidential, meetings, ultimately, the decision-making process should be shared with the community, and input should be taken and considered. So, I do not think decisions should be made in a closed setting. We need to keep the trust of the community, and that would quickly erode if things like that were happening, if there were ulterior motives or things like that. So we shouldn't be doing that, and keep it public. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert?
As far as the open meeting laws, I would say being board member on multiple committees outside of the school district, there's usually a general session and then there's the executive session. And I believe, in the past few times I've been to meetings, I've seen very low attendance. So part of what I would do is encourage the community to get involved. Because from what I know, as far as meetings are structured, is that what has gone over in executive session usually comes directly from general meetings. So the involvement, the input from the community, that's where I think my pillar, where I could stand on and say, look, get involved. Like similar to how I'm trying to get involved, I would encourage anybody that lives in the community, get involved. Come to the meetings, because from what I see in the structure that's set up, there is a voice. Once again, I'm not fully on the board, and there's more details to find out, but I would say the structure I'm familiar with seems to be following protocol from what I am familiar with. So I believe the community has a voice. Just take the opportunities to show up during those meetings.
Thank you. Okay, this is our last question for the evening. I'm going to start with Adam. Imagine you are at the end of your school board service. What 3 achievements do you most want to be remembered for?
That's a hard question. What 3? Can you just repeat that last part?
What 3 achievements do you most want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered for being a positive contribution to this community and, working to create a better educational environment for our students, teachers, and community. And ultimately, seeing my children graduate with the best education possible, as well as the rest of the students. So it's all about education. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert?
A few of the items I'd like to see would be just making sure that my contributions that I brought forward have value. So I am very dedicated to the vocational trades and making sure that students have, the opportunity and pathways to do career readiness, whether it's going to be nursing, whether it's going to be cosmetology, different direct training and skills, electrical, HVAC training. That's what I'm hoping to see more opportunities for the students while they're in school. I believe not just for them to graduate and transition to do that, but to find out what they're good at, to build skills, to become more confident, to become more interpersonal, to have analytical problem-solving skills. Those are some of the values that would come out of the vocational training. I'd also like to see a more clear financial literacy program for the students, so that when they do graduate, that they have that. And I think maybe on a personal level, just more of a value, to the community, that people can say, hey, you know what, you made an impact. I'd like to see that.
Thank you. Jack?
Yeah, I think the 3 things that I would say I would be most proud of or I'd want to be remembered by. First of all, that during my time and through my advocacy on the board, there was an increase in activities surrounding STEAM, like the robotics team, and quiz bowl and the science, and academic decathlon and science competition teams. I would love for us to be as successful and have as much notoriety in those activities as we have in our sports programs. The other thing is like Robert, I agree about BOCES, and specifically I would add a metric to it that I would be proud if we had more, because of my advocacy, we had, as a proportion of the students potentially, we had more students going to BOCES than we have had historically. And then finally, I would want to also be remembered for people knowing that I brought great value to the school district in terms of financing.
Thank you. That concludes the questions for this evening. We will begin our closing statements, and we will start with Adam.
Well, I just want to start off with thanking each and every one of you that are actually here. I hope this was as exciting for you as it was for me. I'm not going to rehash everything you've heard me say. I'm not going to go over my history and my biography and whatnot, but I do want to thank you for allowing me to introduce myself. As I've said, I care deeply about this community and the education of our children. So I want to give back. I want to be a proactive member, and I hope that I can do so in this capacity as a trustee. So again, I do hope to get your vote, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Jack?
Thank you. First of all, let me just say, Robert and Adam, it's been a lot of fun, actually. You guys are great. And I would love to be your next school board member, Bayport Blue Point. I care about this community. I have devoted a lot of time towards this community, and if history means anything, based on school board attendance and coaching and taking out the garbage and being involved, and I'm somebody who's going to keep my advocacy and keep how involved I am in these activities, whether I become a school board member or not. But I would love to be able to serve you in this capacity. I believe in public service. I'm passionate about it. And it's something I think, as an attorney, I can bring a unique set of skills to the board that don't currently exist. I believe in empowering teachers. I really believe that this is a unique area of the law that's evolving right now. The Supreme Court's going to be hearing a lot of cases in this area where there's this interplay between how much parents get to have choice in the classroom and how much discretion we need to give to teachers, as opposed to what the Board of Education in districts are requiring of teachers in the classroom and keeping back and keeping parents at bay. I think this is a really interesting time. I care a lot about it because what I said, I mean it. Less is more in this area. And I mean that in the sense of like empowering teachers and also encouraging parents to get involved in their kids' education. So when I say students first and teachers always, I'm talking about those sorts of issues, and I believe that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Robert?
I'm going to read it because it's a little bit easier so I don't skip any of my parts. I'm running for the Bayport Blue Point School Board because I'm passionate about preparing the students for the real world success. With experience as an electrician, business owner, a teacher, a father, director, and CEO, I bring a well-rounded perspective on education, workforce development, and leadership. I'm a solution-driven and committed to practical results-oriented policies and support both students and teachers. My focus is to bridge the gap between the classroom learning and career readiness by promoting intentional skill development, academic, technical, interpersonal. I want every student to graduate not just with knowledge, but with the confidence and purpose and the tools to thrive in life and work. So, look, it's not reading from a script, it's how I am. I want to be able to make sure that we have a phenomenal district we're in. So I'm not here looking to change or be able to do something that hasn't been done before. But I think when you look at changing board members and you're looking at adding someone to the board, you want to make sure that they're bringing continuous value. And as was mentioned here, we have a lot of value up here. So I'd be happy if any one of them got up here. So once again, if my skills that I bring to the table are of need for the community, I'm here to serve, and I'd be excited to do so.
Thank you. That concludes our program for tonight. Let's hear it for all of our candidates. Thank you so much all for coming out. Have a safe trip home, and good luck to all of you.